What is going on, FA Nation? John Pemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Playbook live show. It is Tuesday. We have a monster 13-game DraftKings main slate on tap for us here today. Our guy Keith Eister did the playbook. He's got that ready for you guys here this evening as well. Grande, big day of games. We do have some weather concerns to pay attention to. He mentioned the Yankees game potentially dealing with some rain. That could see some rain hit that in the middle or later innings of that one. Boston's looking pretty clear. Chicago's another game that could have some rain impacting there sometime in the middle of the game. So something to watch for. And then the St. Louis is one that could see a maybe a possible delayed start there when it comes to rain. When it comes to hot weather, we looked at it last night. Sacramento is going to be hot. It's going to be humid, and the wind is blowing out slightly tonight. So get your Braves, get your A's in your lineups this evening.
Yeah, and it's just going to be mostly moving forward. That's going to be the case, like everywhere, other than like weird weather spots that happen to be on like an ocean and the bay and stuff, like San Francisco. But you know, just looking at like basically like every location's like 80 degrees, unless they are. San Diego lives in a bubble. They have the most miraculous, like impeccable weather of all time. San Francisco lives on a bay. They're not ever going to be great, but everywhere else, like it's going to be warm. So some rain we got to pay attention to, but yeah, 13 games. I mean, it's a lot of games, dude. It's just a ton of games.
When we did the preview show this morning, we kind of talked about, not necessarily needing to spend all the way up on this slate when it comes to pitching. Hunter Brown is your top price starter at $11,000. He is getting the second most ownership at the pitcher position here this evening. Sonny Gray, who James went in depth on during the preview show, he is your second highest rostered spend up of today. Because there is a value starting pitcher on this slate that you and I basically had to do a double take, and that is Brian Bayo at $6,600. He is your highest rostered current pitcher. So you're basically looking to play Brian Bayo, and then you're spending up for your other starting pitcher today. I'm a little surprised with one pitcher in the mid-tier, and we'll get to him, where the ownership is, and even maybe some of the projections on him today. But what's your take on these top guys overall going into tonight?
Top guys in price or top guys in ownership?
Both.
So I think Hunter Brown looks as good as anybody. And I don't necessarily agree with the sentiment. Like, yes, you don't have to spend up, but I don't think there's pitchers on this slate that have had the consistent ceiling that Hunter Brown has had, and that's why obviously you were paying the premium.
Yeah,
I'd have no issue going there, even with Cleveland's like outburst last night. The Guardians' offense is still 26th in OPS, 27th in WOBA, 25th in WRC plus. Browns allowed 2 earned in 7 or fewer in 7 consecutive starts. So I think that Hunter Brown's the best pitcher on the board by like a pretty sizable margin. Robbie Ray is in a tough spot, but he's a good pitcher. If you want to go there, you can. But we've seen what tough spots can do to pitchers, aka Yoshinobu Yamamoto literally yesterday. Tough spot, and the Brewers made him pay. I'm not saying that will happen to Robbie Ray, but that's what happens sometimes when good offenses take on good pitchers. Nathan Eovaldi's a little bit interesting. I obviously like the trepidation in terms of pitch count is why nobody's going there.
Yeah.
He's through 72 pitches, but it was a massive leap from 45 to 72. And we've talked about Eovaldi a lot. Like, he is a dog. It would not surprise me to see him get to 90 pitches here. Really good strikeout spot for starting pitching. So, in large field stuff, I'd have some interest. I'd probably be at above the sub 10% ownership on Nathan Eovaldi. In terms of Bayo, we'll just jump there because that's where the ownership's going.
Yeah.
Like, it's obviously a good spot. There's nothing really negative to say about Brian Bayo in relative, like, to the matchup. Like, nobody strikes out more than the Rockies. He has 5 straight quality starts. In that span, he's been sub-3 ERA. Over that span, while he's changed his pitch mix, he's still generating ground balls nearly 60% of the time, which is a lot. And that's kind of what he's been his whole career. He's been a ground ball first pitcher. We saw the upside from Richard Fitz last night. I'm perfectly fine with Brian Bayo. At times, he doesn't have a ceiling, and at times he does. He has really given us one ceiling game. And obviously, even if you get that San Francisco start, you're like very happy with the outcome, 20 fantasy points. He is a guy that lacks control at times. And like, if you end up there, I'm fine with it. Do I like the fact that he's higher rostered than every other pitcher on the board on a 13-game slate? I do not.
Sure.
But I don't mind it. It's a good play. I just,
the thing we've talked about, obviously, with Bayo is just, as you mentioned, sort of the pitch change there. He basically just stopped throwing his breaking ball, right? He's now sinker cutter fastball. And like, that's how he's getting you out, because his sweepers were just getting hammered, and he made that change in that Yankee start. We talked about it, and you can see sort of the success there, over these last couple of games. 62 pitches is all he needed to get through that Cincy start, on the first. So, I mean, like, he was well on his way. I'm not sure if there was a rain delay involved there or why he was pulled after 62, just another day where
that was the delayed start, or that was the rain out game that they resumed the next day, and Brian Bayo pitched
that's what
as like the bulk reliever,
the bulk guy. Well, dominant obviously in that matchup there. So for sure, we're seeing a lot of comments on Yuri Perez. You did the pitcher matchup report, so nobody knows this slate pitching wise better than you today. We talked about the 20 swing and misses he generated against Minnesota in his last start. I've talked specifically highly of Yuri Perez. He was a number 7 overall prospect in baseball 2 years ago. He's still like the youngest pitcher in baseball. Was it Didier Fuentes is now like the youngest?
Didier Fuentes.
But like, super talented, but road start, warm weather, Cincinnati, a lot of things maybe not adding up to his favor despite liking the talent. And fly balls probably another thing when it comes to him as well.
Yeah, I think this is interesting because while all that's true, you look at the Reds over the last month, and we have, highlighted how good they've been against right-handed pitching this year. That has not at all been the case for the last month. They have a 692 team OPS and have struck out 23% of the time against righties. Those are bad numbers. I mean, a sub 700 OPS as a team is bottom 5 in the league. 23% strikeout rate is a lot for a matchup against a guy who had 21 whiffs his last time out. So I do think there's a lot of intrigue in Yuri Perez. I saw Harry Potter in there said Yuri wets his pants in road games. Expelliarmus to you. I don't agree. I mean, like, he's made like 4 starts this year. Like, one of them was against the best team statistically against right-handed pitching in the league in Arizona. They ranked number 1. You know who's not number 1 or anywhere close to number 1? Cincinnati Reds. And truthfully, that ballpark this year, John, when you look at Baseball Savant, has not been playing offensively as it has, and there's no real reason for that. Sure. But like,
sometimes it's just the offenses. It's like, the Dodgers ballpark, great for homers. Like, Ohtani hits 50. So
right, yeah, and I just think that, like, with how much they've struggled, it is, earlier in the year, a lot of lefties. Like, they have a lot more righties now that people are healthy. Stevenson's back in the lineup, and Spencer Steer's back in the lineup. And a lot of these players missed time in the beginning of the year. Novi Marte is back in lineup, another righty in the lineup. And they had boatloads of lefties everywhere you looked, and now it's just dwindling. So I really am intrigued by the strikeouts that Yuri Perez. Because if you were to ask me just without ownership, who has more strikeouts, Brian Bayo or Yuri Perez tonight? I know that like Colorado strikes out more than anyone, but Brian Bayo is not as talented as Yuri
The
Perez.
strikeout prop, I think, for Bayo tonight still only 4.5.
Yeah, and that just goes to speak who Brian Bayo is, right? It's ground balls first and then strikeouts second.
Yeah.
Where Yuri Perez, anytime a pitcher has 21 whiffs, you have to, that is a like, whoa start, right? Like that is a lot of people swinging and missing and that's not just like any reason, right? So I am perfectly fine taking Yuri Perez for $600 cheaper and about somewhere near like 15% less ownership if you're playing like one lineup and using him over Bayo. Now, you could just use both and not spend up at bat and spend up for all the bats you want, because we're going to talk about a lot of good offenses around Major League Baseball, but I do like both. In tournaments, I prefer Yuri Perez for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Yuri is a guy that basically had like a 60 grade everything, 70 grade fastball, right? So like, plus fastball, above average to plus all secondary offerings, like as sort of his ceiling grade outs there. So certainly can miss a lot of bats. Anything else for you here? Again, I linked your pitcher matchup grid. If you are a Fantasy Slump subscriber, you get access to that. We break down every starter on the board and we grade them out based on the matchup here. Thoughts, I guess, on the mid-range?
Yeah, I think two pitchers in elite spots are Seth Lugo and Chris Bassett. That's not anything that we've changed from last night to tonight. Lugo, 5 straight starts of 1 earned run or fewer over that stretch. 0.9 ERA, opponents hitting 162. And I think the biggest key of this is a near 28% strikeout rate, which, not ever been Seth Lugo's like MO, but if he's striking people out at that clip, then, he's per dollar as good as anyone else on the slate. Sure. Pirates, we don't need to spend time on how bad they are, but 29th in OPS and WOBA, 28th in WRC plus against righties. They're a terrible offense. And then Bassett, the ownership is interesting on Chris Bassett, because I understand that he has some blowups on his ledger, and then you look under the hood and there's some like things that suggest that there's been a lot of unlucky starts out there, and a lot of things that probably regress positively for Bassett, and most likely in the second half. It has a 4.32 ERA on the year, 3.85 ERA, 3.6 xFIP, 3.6 SIERA. So like, that's over half a run higher or lower than his ERA. And then you match up against the White Sox, who are, basically the bottom of the barrel in every category. They're last in average OPS and WOBA, and then they're second to last in ISO and WRC plus against righties. So I don't necessarily understand the ownership. It's just because there's one super elite pitcher and there's one value that everyone's playing. There's not a lot of room in the middle tier for everybody else. But I do think you should, if you're playing multiple lineups, make some room for Chris Bassett, make some room for Seth Lugo. I think they're in elite spots for sure.
I agree with you. Again, it's a large slate, so there's obviously a ton of starting pitching on this one. Any other quick shouts for you, or are we moving on?
Yeah, you had mentioned it at the top, and we talked about Sonny Gray, and I just wanted to circle that conversation. The numbers for Sonny Gray, and this is where I think it's really interesting, are pretty damn dominant against lefties. Okay. And that's what matters here a lot, because that's all the Nationals do. They just have lefties, right? Abrams, Wood, Garcia, Lowe, Bell. The first 5 hitters he is going to face tonight are from the left side. Now, this is one of the this should be fine. Actually, this is one of the games that should be fine. But he has an elevated strikeout rate against lefties, 29%, 24% against righties for context. 89 ISO, 250 WOBA against Sonny Gray for lefties, almost a 13.5% swinging strike rate. And again, that just matters when you're facing a team that only has lefties and just fired their coach and GM. So not only are they, in a weird spot organizationally, now they have to face a guy who's dominant against your specific split. So I like Sonny Gray. I would hat tip a couple of guys, like hat tip Shota. I mean, I think there's home run upside for Minnesota, but they do strike out a lot against lefties. Hat tip Mitch Keller, who might be traded mid-start. You never know with how, he's going to get dealt, and that's obvious, but he's been great over his last 5 starts, 2.4 ERA, 2.12 average against him. And the Royals ranked 27th or worse in OPS, WOBA, ISO, and WRC+. So hat tip to Shota, hat tip to Mitch Keller, hat tip to Merrill Kelly, who another guy I think you can get to. Hat tip to Jose Soriano. I know there's a lot of pitchers, but it's a 13-game slate.
13-game slate. A lot of options. Obviously, we've talked Soriano. What version of Jose Soriano will show up today? That's the question. The guy that goes for 30-plus fantasy points in 3 of the last 5, or the guy that has negative fantasy points in 2 of the last 6?
Yeah, I mean, the Rangers, it's a good spot. And, the Rangers are bottom 5 in basically every category. That said, they're getting the best version of Corey Seager they've had all year. So, dodge Corey Seager, win a prize.
Yep, pretty much. All right, let's go to catcher. Again, as we kind of alluded to yesterday, we expected to see, a lot of Red Sox when it comes to popular plays. There are a lot of Red Sox up at the top of the ownership, but catcher's not one of them because today they went with Connor Wong. So our guy Narvaez, who we like to play a lot, not in the lineup today. Agustin Ramirez is your top roster catcher. Ryan Jeffers, someone we mentioned on the show with the lefty against Imanaga. And then Shea Langoliers getting that Didier Fuentes, getting that Sacramento matchup there. Also getting some ownership love today. When we built our lineup, we went to Sean Murphy. That Braves lineup not yet confirmed, but we assume he'll be the one behind the dish tonight.
Yeah, I still have no real change there. I like Agustin Ramirez. He's a big, strong, powerful man. So if you want to play him and he gets a home run, that wouldn't be surprising. Love the Langoliers shout. Didier Fuentes has struggled with power from both sides of the plate. Righties have a 206 expected ISO and a 374 WOBA against him. So I have no issue. Langoliers has hit a couple home runs since returning from the IL.
I was saying, you have to wonder how many homers this guy would have had he not missed an entire month. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's in that ballpark. I mean, he's gets to play there for the next 2 more years after this. So like, if he gets hot, it's 40 home run season. He could
have been up over 20 homers now, if he didn't miss a month. So
I like Langoliers quite a bit. No surprise to see the price up there. You could play either. Again, Cantillo has actually been pretty good. He's not going to be pitching too deep into this game. He went 3 1/3 last time out. Yanyer and Caratini back in the lineup. You could play both them. I think Sean Murphy makes the most sense when you look at like Jeffrey Springs in that ballpark. It's just really bad. 1.8 home runs per 9, 4.84 xFIP, 50% fly ball rate, 36% hard hit rate. Sutter Health is rated per Baseball Savant as good as Coors Field this year. They're tied for number 1 park factor in all of baseball. So, Sean Murphy is a guy who has really come on after like doing nothing. He's homering a bunch lately, just in time for him to get traded, which is perfect for all the Drake Baldwin stock to go up.
Sure.
So I definitely like Murphy at 35 as like my favorite catcher. You could play Hicks at 34, not hitting fourth tonight, but I think he's definitely fine. Jeffers, as you mentioned, is getting ownership, and that's solely like Imanaga allowed the 3 home runs in his opening start. That's just people playing Minnesota hoping they hit home runs.
And
tonight.
He's hitting second, right?
And he's hitting second. Yeah, you don't find a $3,300 player often hitting second. So you get the price, you get the hopeful home run at your catcher. And then like there's like always punts. You could punt Connor Wong if you wanted. He's really bad. After like
he was a above average hitter last year.
Until he got hurt, right? He got hurt, and then
this dude, and now obviously he's just not the everyday catcher. He should probably be DFA'd.
There's a chance.
I don't know what he is bringing to the table. Narvaez is the infinitely better defensive catcher and offensive catcher. So don't really get that at all there. All right, so that's your catcher spot. Let's go to first base. Cam the Man says Bush is going deep. We talked a lot about this matchup here. Simeon Woods Richardson and his horrific numbers against left-handed hitters. So certainly in on Michael Bush today. Also like Nick Kurtz at same sort of price tier. Didier Fuentes, 3 homers per 9 to left-handed hitters. Again, small sample size, but lefties are absolutely smoking this dude. And they got him in Sutter Health today. When it comes to ownership, it is Romy Gonzalez. Again, when you hit a 450-foot homer out of Fenway Park, people take notice. The elite numbers against left-handed pitching continue. He gets Kyle Freeland here today.
And the eligibility, and obviously the eligibility.
And the second base eligibility is helping that as well. What are your thoughts at first base here today? Are you buying just back into the Romy Gonzalez experience here?
I'm buying, but not at first, because I think there's too many good options. Like you, obviously, if you're multi-entering, you can get Romy at first, but I have a hard time like sifting through a lot of it because I like Ohtani. Mizraowski obviously has been good. I think I saw someone comment on the quote that Pat Murphy gave. It was a very interesting quote, a very uncomfortable quote about Jacob Mizraowski, but you know what? Old people are who they are, and they always give uncomfortable quotes. Shout out to all the grandparents out there. Vladdy looks great. Aaron Savali is like not a good pitcher. Very live to give up multiple home runs, super high elevated fly ball rate this year. Like Olsen against Springs, he's hit lefty well.
Olsen's the second highest roster first baseman so far.
Yeah, the Braves are just gonna be really popular. Springs is like good against lefties, but it doesn't matter. That ballpark is just so small. Love Kurtz, love Bush, definitely think he's live. You talked about the Woods Richardson stuff, and we can just go over it. Against lefties specifically, 1.7 home runs per 9, 5.37 xFIP, 47% hard hit rate, 176 ISO against lefties. The Cubs are going to run 4 of their top 5 batters in the top half of their lineup from the left side. It's dangerous for Woods Richardson. And if he can navigate that, good luck and good for him. So I like all those guys. You can obviously play Pasquantino, who continues to rake as well. He's been, after awful corpse-ish start, he's been
we talked about that, right? This is a guy that at the end of the year is going to have like 28 homers and like 90 RBI, and you're like, oh
yeah, he's probably going to have 100. He's going to go 100 plus if he stays healthy. Yeah, he's been so good. I mean,
I laugh at the Michael Bush stuff. I understand that recency numbers have helped him, like multiple multi-hit games, but this is a guy, you and I are in the same Roto League, that's been like cycled through for like the majority of the season, and here we are heading into the All-Star break. He's hitting almost 300 with a 950.
Should be an All-Star. Should be an All-Star.
Should be an All-Star. And there he is. Do we like a card stack? Asked Justin. We will get there. I mean, we do like the lefties against Jake Irvin. So, do we have a first base?
The righties are really coming around. By the way, righty numbers are really.
He's not a good pitcher, so I'm not shocked by that development either. But If you work our way down this list and you get past Romy, who's the next man on your list here? Is there a next man on your list?
You can play Josh Smith here. Soriano does have some numbers that suggest he's not very good against lefties at times. You could play Hicks here. You could play Salvi here. You could play Tolia. We know the thing about Brian Bayo is the lefties give him problems. That would be the one issue that Bayo could face. Toro had the RBI double against a lefty yesterday. $3,100. I know he's hitting eighth, but I don't hate it. Don't really have. It's not a position that I find myself spending down at very often.
I agree. Going on over then to second base, we mentioned you can obviously play Romy Gonzalez here. He does also have the highest second base rostership on DraftKings tonight. Brendan Donovan is your second guy. We highlighted him again on the preview show, and as our guy Justin pointed out, liking the card stack. And then it's Ozzie Albies. And
we told you.
We've talked about this. There's nothing really to like about Ozzie Albies outside of just the ballpark tonight. I mean, and it's not like he's getting astronomical ownership. It's like 10% right now. So, like, you can fade him, and if he hits a homer, he's not going to kill you. It's not like he's a 30% play. I just don't have interest in him, even at the price point.
He's been, he's just been one of the worst players in baseball.
At all times, he's been terrible this year.
He has not won
the lineup. Like
we have thought for the first couple months, we're like, well, this guy has just never not hit lefties. It's going to come around, and it just hasn't. Yep. He has just continued to be bad. Yeah, I don't really have the confidence. I think you could, if you're trying to sell me on like a Brave stack, and like just going full Braves, I feel like you can find 5 other players way more comfortably than getting Ozzie Albies.
I would agree. I would agree with you. Xavier Edwards is in the mid range. Jonathan India. These are all guys kind of getting that like 6-7%. Because again, it's kind of dominated by Romy and Donovan here. Any other second baseman that you just like tonight?
Yeah, I like Jose Altuve. I think Jose Altuve has been pretty good lately. And by that, I mean, he's been very good lately. So I would play Altuve. Romy, Donovan obviously is great. I like Willie Castro if you're playing Twins to bank on home runs. I'm definitely interested. We talked about Edwards had a bunch of doubles last night. His DraftKings page is broken. It doesn't show you that, but he had like 3 of them. The Royals are coming off one of their better games in like recent memory. Jonathan India was a big part of that. The top half of that lineup was just great last night. So if you think momentum carries them into that, you could play them. Edmundo is 33, but really tough spot. It's not the best position, and that's why you're going to see Romy just get boatloads. I do think this is probably a spot you could take a shot on, as Zach Geloff. Okay. You're getting a pitcher on the other side that hasn't really missed bats at the major league levels yet. And I think that's going to come with time. He has missed more bats against righties for what it's worth, but Geloff is a powerful player. Like, he can hit home runs. He also can strike out 4 times. That wouldn't be surprising either, but there is power in this ballpark for sure.
Yeah. I mean, again, the one thing he does is hit homers, strikes out, and steals some bags every now and then. Third base position here. Again, up at the top, Jose Ramirez, Eugenio Suarez, your soon-to-be new Yankees second baseman, Jazz Chisholm is there.
Old
new second baseman.
Yeah.
But all of that is just to say Austin Riley is your chalk monster today.
Yep.
Was we kind of expected at $4,400. Addison Barger, 42, and then Nate Eaton and Thomas Sagasi are your value plays today.
Yeah, the Segassi one is funny because he's just like such a mediocre baseball player, and that is just eligibility, lineup spot stuff. That's it. There's no reason you're playing him over like a lot of other, like, truthfully, John, I know Irvin's bad. I'd rather play Royce Lewis for like $200 more hitting fifth. Like, it's just like, because I've watched him hit home runs before. I don't think Segassi can do that. But like, yeah, Austin Riley looks great at the top, 44. Paredes looks great. Home run upside there. Jazz, I mean, Logan Gilbert struck out a boatload of people. Has also had struggles outside of the strikeouts since returning from the IL. Barger has a bunch of power. We need that game to play. Yeah, I don't have like a lot of. I'd like Nolan Gorman hitting fifth quite a bit.
Nolan Gorman, you'd probably play Nolan Gorman for $1,000 more than Sagassi.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I mean, what are we doing? That is solely eligibility lineup positioning, because that is not a great baseball player.
I agree. And there's a good chance that Isaac Paredes hits like a 360-foot homer over the wall there. So,
and we didn't really talk Eaton, but he has obviously been solid at the leadoff spot.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, they obviously pinch hit for him last night because that was a close game, and they had guys that can pinch hit for him. But he almost homered, and then twice actually. The first double of the game was like a half a foot short of being a homer. It hit the top of the ladder that they used to use to climb up and grab the baseballs back when it was a net there and not the monster seats. And then later in the game, he ripped one down the line that was probably fouled by like 5 feet. So, that wall certainly there against a lefty, $2,500 leading off. Less people, I mean, I did not say less people, but not as many people playing him today as yesterday with the Braves in Sacramento. So,
yeah.
All right, shortstop. Your top roster guy today is Trevor Story. That's Bo Bichette and Carlos Correa, actually up over 10%. Bobby Witt Jr. is hot. He's got $5,400 for him. Ellie, Abrams, you can probably play most of these top guys.
Yeah, they're all good at baseball.
Are you surprised on Jacob Wilson ownership? Less than 5% today?
I don't think people... There hasn't been the ceiling that we were getting earlier from him. I don't know if that's from when he kind of like post hammy, because he's been dealing with like some injury stuff for like a little bit now. We haven't really gotten the home runs. I know he's been far better at home this year in general, but I think when you can play someone like Trevor Story for cheaper, who's like definitively been like more productive, like big production, like power, RBIs, that stuff, I feel like that's why like people are just going to gravitate more there. But I understand like the question, like, because Jake Wilson is starting it's not a coincidence he's starting the All-Star game at shortstop. Like, that is because he has been, when you're starting over Bobby Witt Jr. at a position in the All-Star game there, and you're voted by the fans that way, and it's deserved, like, obviously you're doing something extremely well.
I agree. I know I mentioned Steven Wood Richardson's numbers last night against righties are pretty good, but I would still play Dansby if he fits your stack.
Yep.
You've championed Otto Lopez. He's kind of among the top 5 rostered shortstops tonight as well, hitting third. Mason Wynn's hitting second if you just want your card stack. So plenty of options here in the mid-range.
Yeah, well, I've championed Otto Lopez because he's great. Future Hall of Famer. Could be. No, he's already 26 years old. That ship has sailed. Yeah, I think Dansby looks good. Otto looks really good. A lot of really good underlying stuff for Otto Lopez. Correa there is power for Correa when he is facing a lefty. Have we gotten the Brewers lineup? I know that we did. So they sat Ortiz for the last couple of days for like lineup or to get his head out of his ass, essentially, is how it was like basically phrased. When I was doing research today, the Brewers have over the last month are any category that the Red Sox aren't first in against lefties, the Brewers are first in, or they're just second in against lefties. Other than ISO, but they're second in WOBA, they're first in WRC plus, and they're fifth in OPS, and they don't strike out. And we've seen like some big games out of the Brewers, and they've basically all come against lefties. I don't mind like the Ortiz punt 2,900. Kershaw. The one thing about Kershaw, as good as he's been, some of the peripheral stuff suggests that he's been pretty lucky, and he also just won't strike people out. So, if I'm punting the position, I don't mind a punt on Joey Ortiz.
Okay. Going on then.
Didn't talk about this at first as well. Now that I'm thinking Brewers, Andrew Vaughn hitting fifth tonight. Stone Cold Min 2K. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Now we got the Brewers lineup like official. He is hitting fifth, which is quite interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
you remember he did hit lefties. He did hit lefties.
He hit lefties and had a lot of power. We knew those were true. And then he played for the White Sox, so he stopped caring like everybody else that does play for them.
Yep.
So. All right. Going to the outfield. Your highest rostered outfielder today is Ronald Acuna. $6,300. Probably no surprise there. Marcell Ozuna and Jurickson Profar. So again, as we said on the preview show,
do they all have something in common?
The Braves outfield is your chalk play today. I still am anti Ozuna, which means he's most likely going to homer, but the dude is hurt. They said he's hurt. They said he's playing through a hip. How do you hit for power with a bad hip? I don't think you can. And he hasn't been. So, skeptical. But I love Jurickson Profar as a value play. We'll get to him at 3,300. But your top guy there, Ronald Acuna. Ohtani just gets the obligatory 10% because he's Shohei Ohtani. But as we said on the morning show, you're going to get one of these guys at like no ownership tonight. And that guy is Aaron Judge, as we said on the show. Less than 3% right now.
He's been quite good again, by the way, too. Like super, super good lately.
Yeah. So you could tonight, again, Logan Gilbert, I get it. Good pitcher on the mound. But in your tournaments today, if you're building multiple lineups, the DraftKings would ever load here. As you can see, it's just spinning forever on my screen. Can't even. Oh, there we go. Maybe a little bit. You get a free Aaron Judge today. No one's playing him. He could hit 3 home runs. He could have 8 RBIs. He could do all of those things.
Good.
Very capable.
Very capable.
So your tournament leverage today, Aaron Judge. And then we have the Cubs, who we were huge fans of last night. We had someone in the chat, Anthony, Mr. Anthony, spend up on PCA, Cal, or Judge today. Better spend up PCA, Cal, or Judge today, he's asking.
I don't know why people are not playing the Cubs. I have no idea. That's the only explanation is when you look at some of the Cubs positionally, they clash with the Braves.
Yeah.
That's it. Because they look amazing. The Cubs look amazing. They face a guy who gives up a lot of fly balls. This is a team who is 4 days removed from hitting a franchise record 8 home runs in a singular game. I don't like. I'm not saying I think the Braves look great, but I think the Cubs, for not even, I mean, like every position, half the ownership, it look great as well. So, yeah, I think the answer to that question for me would be PCA, because I can't believe he's sub 6K. I was shocked to see the price just continuously drop. He had 38 fantasy points, and the next day his price was down $300. Yeah. I mean, so my answer there is just PCA. That would be my answer.
Yeah. And again, you can play Tucker PCA. I think we said on the show last night we'd pretty much play everybody but the newly entered home run derby entrant O'Neal Cruz.
Who, I don't know. Who, by the way, I was looking at some stuff. He is now under 100 OPS plus. 100 is the barometer for the MLB average. He is now a less than average statistical player in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, he doesn't care. Does not care right now. Just he's going to the home run derby. He cares about that.
I know. It's funny to see, like, and I maybe I should have realized that he's already 26. And I'm not saying that's old, but like I feel like he is still treated as a 23-year-old player. Well, yeah. Right? Like, and I'm not saying he can't figure it out, but like this is like the third year where he's going to have over 400 at bats in a season, and we're still dealing with a guy who's might not reach the Mendoza line for the year. Like he's hitting 203. So I just find it so fascinating to see how much love this player has, and he's just so mid, as the kids would say. He's just a mid baseball player.
Yep, I agree. All right, mid-range. Where are we looking to go?
Mid-range. Perfect segue there. Love Rooker. I think in these slates, this is like, I think the A's are like, you know, when you would get a core slate when the Rockies were actually like a decent offense, and you would get a core slate and no one would be playing the Rockies and everyone would just stack the team that's coming into cores. And you'd be like, why is nobody playing the Rockies? Like they are like, it's a pretty good spot. That's how I feel about the A's against a 20-year-old pitcher that was a teenager like less than a month ago and has been giving up a lot of home runs. Why is nobody playing the A's? They have 5.3 implied runs tonight. That is fourth on the entire slate, right? Boston, Atlanta, Toronto. The Athletics have more implied runs tonight than the Chicago Cubs. The Chicago Cubs, the team that just hit 8 home runs in a game. The Athletics have more implied runs. And nobody wants to play Brent Rooker at 52. Nobody wants to play Soderstrom.
We say this all the time, right? When we get these games, teams always end up playing one side of it, and the other side is just as good.
I am, yeah. I got nothing else. Yeah,
I hear you. We had Ryan asked about the weather, and then Anthony said Roth updated his weather report and it's better. That is true. A lot less orange now. There's a lot of yellow still, but things are apparently looking a bit better. Boston did get a straight yellow from a yellow green. He thinks there's a delay risk now potentially in that game because storms are moving quicker in that direction. But everything else, he doesn't seem to think there's anything entirely dangerous outside of Seattle, New York, which he still thinks a late start could be in play today. So I'll take that for the weather report. I don't know. Tell me, 13 games. Where else were you looking at for this outfield?
Where else are we looking for?
We just got that A's lineup too, by the way. So let's see anything new and exciting here. Butler, Wilson, Rooker, Kurtz, Langelier, Soderstrom, Muncy, Geloff, and Clark. The usual suspects all in the lineup there.
Yeah, looks good. Looks like a good, powerful lineup that's going to score a bunch of runs. Rosarena hits a lot of home runs every night. Soderstrom is live to homer. Stowers is live to homer. Barger we talked about. 42 looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan looks great. Newt Bar, I don't love that he's been moved down, but he hasn't been as good as he was earlier in the year. Him and Happ at 41, I think both look fine.
Yep. Roman Anthony hit a monster home run last night. Saddam Raffaella hit a home run last night. And then no people are playing them today. They're all playing them yesterday.
Sedon hitting 6th this evening after they just like, all right, we have to play that. He's going to homer again. We have to bat him higher.
Well, when you have Connor Wong in the lineup, someone else has to hit 9th, right?
That's fair. I don't even think Connor Wong's isn't Connor Wong hitting 8th?
Is he not? Who's hitting 9th tonight? They have Jaron Duran hitting 7th. Whew.
I thought Connor Wong's hitting 9th. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought he was hitting
8th. Toro's hitting 8. Duran's hitting 7 now.
Well, also, Cora basically confirmed that Duran's not playing tomorrow.
Yeah, I think they're just going to swap.
Anthony's playing left tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I to tell you, and with Masa Yoshida coming back, I don't know what's going to happen there with Jaron Duran.
Get ready to learn bench, buddy.
Yeah, something like that. New uniform coming your way. Change the socks. All right, what else we got down here? Burleson at 339s, obviously great. Cam Smith, 4K. Dominguez leading off 37.
Obviously, Profar looks amazing at 33.
Profar's elite. Ref Snyder's hitting cleanup.
We got my boy Nathan Lucas leading off
31.
Yep, coming off the home run.
Cooper Hummel 3K.
Cooper Hummel 3K. Luis Roberts back, but he stinks. Harrison Bader is a little bit interesting. He's been homering a bunch lately. 2,700. He actually does have some pretty good numbers against left-handed pitching this year too. Yeah. And again, like Shota, there is like kind of a righty problem for Shota. The home runs at least have been a little bit concerning. Harrison Bader on the year has a 209 ISO against left-handed.
I was going to say, good on Harrison Bader for still just like hanging around the MLB, right? Third round pick.
Elite defender that is like showing a little pop offensively.
Dude won a Gold Glove in 2021, but it came in the league in 2017. Still in the league almost a decade later. Never. If you want to talk about a mid-career, he's a 240 career hitter with a 700 OPS.
We'll never forget as Yankees fans that postseason he had like 2 seasons ago where he was like the best player on the planet. We're like, holy cow, we found something, Harrison Bader. And now he's hitting like 250 again. We're like, thank God we didn't re-sign him. Loperfido, 2,500.
Okay.
Homered.
Good shout. All right, let's get into Anthony's question here. Gilbert or Lugo, who do we like more tonight?
I like Lugo more.
Yeah, I like Lugo more too. Core plays.
Did you answer Rusty's question?
I didn't. Rafael, Anthony, Burleson, or Newpar? Sedon, probably.
I would probably also say Sedon, but I would probably rank them how you list them, and there's a chance you switch Burleson and Roman. That would probably be the only thing I
was going to say there's a chance you switch Roman and Sedon. I mean, from a ceiling standpoint, Roman Anthony is the best player of that 4.
Yes. Rafael has homered in 3 straight and has absolutely hammered left-handed pitching this year.
I agree.
And then Burleson has a gas can on the other side that can't get lefties out.
Yeah, but I would go the way you have it. Buxton 100% homers tonight, says Andrew.
There's a live, but he's very live. First pitch of the game.
Won't argue with that. You saw the thing the other day, right? It was Scooble throws a fastball like every single time, first pitch,
and
Buxton swings at it. Yeah, and he threw a changeup to him.
They were having some fun.
Yeah, they were live.
I think Mark, who's worrying about Milk and if Marcell Ozuna is going to bring a bat this series, which he might not need a bat to hit a home run in that.
Milk bats and infectious diseases, Mark Pitts.
That's true. He does love himself, and that's what when you're a doctor, you love yourself some infectious diseases. But he might just need like a umbrella to hit a home run in that ballpark. He doesn't really need a home run. And George Springer, you could definitely play. I know he was an 0 for yesterday. He also has super elite numbers against righties and is in an elite spot against a bad pitcher. So you can realistically just go back to Toronto and they might score a boatload of runs again because Toronto doesn't lose. They win every game they play. 9 in a row. They throw brooms on the broadcast and Yankees broadcasters get mad at them. It's a whole bunch of bad stuff going on. And good if you're a Toronto fan.
Yeah, for sure. Just tell me when to stop clicking.
Add Romy Gonzalez to second.
44. Where is he at? There he is.
Add.
What's our punt?
Profar,
yeah. All right. There you go. Lugo, Bayo, Murphy, Romy, Acuna, Profar. $4,300 left to fill that lineup out. The complete lineup will be in the Discord, so make sure you join that. You can get the link in the description of today's show. We appreciate you all tuning in. We'll have the preview show again for you guys tonight. Good luck with